Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be working on a Sony receiver, model number DA4ES. The customer says that it started about a year ago where he would switch it on and there would be a loud popping sound, and it's got progressively worse, and now what's happening is it's triggering the protection circuit on the receiver. So I'm going to try and replicate that. I have it plugged in. Let's switch it on, see what happens. And the protect is coming straight on. We'll leave the speakers off. I just want to try and switch it on again, and then turn the speakers on and see what happens. So it goes straight into protection mode. So I've done a little bit of investigation, and there are apparently 4 NEC chips on these units, which are notorious for getting dry joints. So I'm going to focus on those initially, see if we can find those dry joints and sort them out. There's 2 on the main board and then 2 on a small external board which comes off. So let me readjust the camera and we can take a look at those. So this is the inside of the unit. The 4 NEC chips which I mentioned, there's this small board. I don't know exactly what it is. It looks like some kind of preamp board to me. There's 2 NEC chips on this board. There's one there, one here. So we'll remove this board and check the whole board for dry joints. And then there's also 2 on the main amplifier board. There's one there and then one down here. Those we can access from the bottom. This unit has a nice panel which comes off on the bottom, which gives you bottom access to that board. So I think what we'll do is start by removing this guy and checking the solder joints in there. So there's the board. It plugs in with these 2 connectors onto the main amp board. We will try and get a close-up of these NEC chips. Can't see anything with the naked eye, but those are them, these 2. So I may have to get this under the microscope. Let's put it on the microscope and get a closer look at that. So here we are under the microscope, and it does look like some of these connections are not great. You can see this guy. Where am I? There. See the crack around that solder. This one has a crack. That one has a crack. There's another one that doesn't look good. I'm jumping over to the second IC. It's these connections here. Let's just get that in focus. Again, you can see those cracked areas around there. I'll try and move the IC. It's hard to move it and keep it in focus at the same time. It doesn't necessarily actually have to physically move, but if that is a dry joint, yeah, every single one of those looks dodgy. So we'll start by reflowing those, and then we'll also have a look at the other NEC chips that are on the bottom, and we'll probably find that those are also dry as well. So let's turn on the soldering iron and get these reflowed. I'm going to do them on the one side first and then turn the board around so that I can get proper access. Okay, so I've gone over all of those. I think what I'm going to do is go over the whole board with the microscope and just check that there's no other ones. I'm going to go slowly on that, so I'll do it off camera, otherwise we'll be here all day. Okay, so I've gone over all of the solder connections on the two NEC chips, and I also checked the whole board, and there was a fair number of dry connections, especially on some of these capacitors that are close to the NEC chip, where obviously they've been affected by the heat that this produces. None of the capacitors look to be bulging or anything, so that's pretty good, and they're all very good caps. They're Nichigon gold. So we'll get that back in, and then we'll have a look at the bottom side of the board around this area here where these other two NEC chips are. I'm pretty sure we're going to find some dry joints there as well. So let's plug this guy back in. Okay, so we're looking at the bottom of the main board. Again, there's two NEC chips, and I can see same thing around a lot of these connections. There's cracked solder. I'll try and move the microscope across slowly, keep it in focus. Okay, looks bad. That guy. If we go over to the second NEC chip, yeah, look at that. These connections, I think that is a jumper. It's also not looking great. So we're going to do the same thing. We'll go over these with a soldering iron and also look around in the area. You can see the color of the board is it's a little bit brown here. So these NEC chips obviously get quite warm, and that causes these dry joints over time. So let me go over those, and then hopefully we'll be able to give it a test and see what happens. Okay, so I've gone over the main ones. Probably time to give it a test. There's a few little dry joints on some of the capacitors close to them, but nothing bad. Give it a test. If it works out fine, then I'll come back and clean that up. Let's get it back over and see what happens. Okay, so we have everything put back together. I've reflowed the connections on the bottom NEC chips as well. So we're going to power it on and see what happens. So still stuck in protection mode. What I can try and do is do a factory reset. So you switch it off, you press and hold the power button for about 5 seconds. Enter to clear all, press the enter button. See what happens. Still. Okay, so we have some other fault on here. I guess we'll keep on troubleshooting. Okay, so a little bit of troubleshooting. What I've decided to do is disconnect this, I think it's a preamp board. If I can find the schematic, I'll confirm what board this is. So I've disconnected from the board. This is the first one where we reflowed the NEC chips. And now the unit seems to switch on and it's not going into protection mode. So it's pointing to some kind of issue on this. Maybe some of the connections are still not flowed properly. Just try and show you that the unit is working. So here, if I switch the unit on with that small board disconnected, comes on, and then you'll hear the relays click for the speaker. I actually have the speakers turned off here, so put them onto speaker A. You can see it's staying on and it's not going into protection mode. Speaker B. If I put it on A and B together, everything stays on. So it's pointing to some kind of issue on this little board. Let me get that board out again and put it back under the microscope, see if I can see anything wrong with it. Okay, so back on this amp. So what I ended up doing is there is multiple dry joints on both driver ICs, these NEC chips. The two on the main board and then also the two on this extra board here. After I reflowed that, I gave it the unit a test, and it was still going into protection mode. So I went back over this entire board very carefully. I'm looking for more dry joints. I reflowed a few which looked a little bit suspect. I did the same on the bottom of the main power board. Went over very carefully looking for any other dry joints or cracks. Again, a couple looked a little bit suspicious, so I reflowed everything I could find, tested it again, still going into protection mode. So I had a look on the internet, as we do, and I came across another repair tech, 12 volt vids, very good guy, and he had a similar unit, well exactly the same unit. The issue was that it wasn't going into protection mode, but there was no audio output, and his problem was the same as mine, a lot of dry joints on those NEC chips, and he also found there was one fusible resistor which was blown. So resistor 591 down here, this little blue guy. It's a 10 ohm resistor, and that had gone open. So I've replaced that, and I'm happy to say that the unit is now powering on and it's not going into protection mode, and it is working. I have some music which I can play, which shouldn't be copyright struck. Comes from the YouTube audio library.
Time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your empty filled with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises.
So the unit is working well. I've given it the light bump test, and there's no loud popping and crackling like there was before. That was obviously caused by those dry joints. I have a feeling that that resistor blew because of the very, very loud crackling that was coming when you tapped it. And that seems to have been sorted out. So yeah, the customer should be happy with that one. I hope this repair helps anybody else who has something similar, just as I also looked up online and I found that this one little resistor was the secondary issue for me. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe and share the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.